Good afternoon. Myself Asha Karki from grade 6. So we are very happy and glad to welcome the founder members of Brikdale School from Britain. We are here to ask you a few questions about your school, teaching styles and education system in Britain. So my first question is to Mr. Kid. So why you started Brikdale School?
Sorry, so
Why you started Brikdale School?
why did I start a big school? Sorry. That's a very good question. I first came to Nepal with a group back in the year 2000, 26 years ago. I bought some students and they went into a school to do some teaching. And that little school was in a little village called Kokna, which is about 15 miles outside Kathmandu. And the headmaster told me he was going to close it. And so I went back to my school in Sheffield in the UK, and we raised money to build another school on his own land, so he didn't have to pay the rent. That was the reason he was having to close it, because the rent was going up. And we'd go back every year and got to know people like like Tulsi, and lovely to come down here and see you. Any more questions?
So my next question is to Miss Charles. So what was your dream when you first started Brikdale School?
So I actually came after Keith. So Keith came first, as he says, in 2000. My first time was in 2015, so 11 years ago. And when we came over here, I think the Nepalese culture and the people just captured my heart. And I've now been back 3 more times. And I think I'll be coming back many, many more, because we want to see you all. You make us happy and you make us feel like it's worth coming back all the time. So we'll see you a lot more times.
That's an amazing vision.
Good afternoon. It's me Aditi Parajali from class 7 Maths. Today I am here to ask you some questions. So my first question is that what makes you surprised about Nepalese students, especially the students of Durga Saichik Griha?
So, I think there's a few points. I think one is how hardworking everyone is. I think every single class we've been in today, all the students are working really hard and are listening and trying and writing fantastically. I also think how polite and how kind everyone is. I've been here, this is my second time at this school, and I feel like I'm part of the family just because everyone here is so welcoming and so kind to us as visitors.
Now my second question is that did British students also become scared or stressed before exam like us?
British students.
Also become scared or stressed before exam like us?
Oh yeah, British students do exams? Yes. Oh, do they become scared before exams? I think so. Yes, I was when I was teaching. I used to be in charge of all the older students, the sixth form, as we call them, and every year I used to have anxious students worried about their exams. I always say it's good to have a little bit of anxiety and worry, because it makes you work a bit harder, but you don't want to get too worried that it affects your performance.
Thank you for the wonderful answer.
Good afternoon, sir and ma'am. Myself, Ayush Kasif from class 7 Jupiter. Today, I would like to ask you a few questions. My first question is this. What difference did you see between our school and your school in Britain? For both of you.
Okay, so I'll start. Well, actually, there's lots of similarities between the two, and lots of differences between the two. I think let's go for the differences in the pupils. I think that here in Nepal, the pupils are much prouder. That's such a word. Happier. they're really pleased to have a school to go to, because not every child has got a school to go to. Whereas in England, every child has a school to go to, and they do not realise just how fortunate they are to have an education. Whereas here, the students all love their school, know their school, they turn out like you have, all looking extremely smart. As a head of sixth form, I used to struggle to get our students to turn out looking smart, particularly the younger ones. Also, I think you work harder in Nepali school than they do in British schools where I was. You have a boarding element here, don't you? Where you get to a stage where you stay in school just before your exams and work. We could never do that in England. Right? But obviously the schools, when I've been around Nepal, the schools in England are better resourced. Not with this school, I couldn't compare it, but in some of the poorer schools, you are very fortunate here to have this lovely school to go to.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I agree with the hardworking side. And also, I think students here generally want to work more. They want to learn and they want to ask questions. They want to find out about how they can do better. And I think that is different to quite a few children at schools in the UK. Also, for me personally, this school where you've got children who are tiny up to children who are much, much older, all in one campus and all know each other, all mixed together. The teachers all know each other and know all the children. That's very different to the school I went to, because my school was a lot bigger. I think it had 1,600 students, and that was from age 11 to age 18. So it was fewer years and much more students. So we didn't all know each other, and so it wasn't as close as this school is. But I think we also have some more, we do more arts and music in the UK. That is a slightly different style. So you've got some very traditional Nepalese dancing and poetry, and that's all fantastic to see. And it's lovely that that's kind of kept here. And then we also do our English version of that. So kind of similar, but also different.
Among all the subjects, for me, science is a difficult subject. Can you say me some tips and tricks how I can work in that subject?
I'm going to pass you on to the experts.
I didn't hear all that question. You have to say it again.
I'll pass you on to the expert who is the science teacher, so he might be able to help. How can you give some tips on science if we find it hard?
Okay, so do you all find science a bit hard? A bit hard here. So, yes, well, listen carefully to your teachers. And do a lot of reading around the subject if you get a chance. So if you're learning some biology, say, and you've got some extra books you can look at, then that can only help by, if you don't understand something when you in a class, you can have a look in the book. I don't know how good your teachers would be. I'm sure if you went to them and said, look, to the teacher, I don't really understand that. Can you explain it? Perhaps in our school, I would give individual tuition to help someone who was struggling with a particular topic. But I can't really give you advice on how I could encourage you to improve your science generally. It would depend on what topics. Science is such a big subject. And there's biology, there's chemistry, there's physics. And within each of those, there's maths questions and there's chemical questions and equations. So everybody struggles with some aspect of science, and others find some aspects easier than others. So it's not an easy question to answer, but a good question.